Welcome back to Lesson 2, Part 3, Animation. Now, the animation portion will be split up into 3 different videos. So for this video, we're going to be working on blocking. Now, blocking is basically mapping out a scene, so we're doing the most minimum animation for our ball so we understand where it starts, where it stops, and some stuff that happens in between. Okay, so before we get started, let's do one thing to our modeling file to make sure that we're good to go. So in your layers panel over here, make sure that the ground is not set to reference so that you can adjust it. You should be able to adjust the vectors, the vertexes, so it can be a little more to the left outside of the resolution gate. This is so that our ball, as I've already done here, can rest on the ramp and have a starting point. Once you've done that, you can go back to the layer panel, turn it back to reference, and then turn off the backdrop. Okay? And then save your file. So File, Save Scene, Modeling. Now let's go to File, Save Scene As, and let's get started on the blocking phase. So lesson 02 underscore blocking. Make sure it's a Maya ASCII file, and then save as. Oh, and if you've not already done this, you can go up here and turn off the grid. We will not be needing it for this next section. Okay, now for the blocking section, it's really dependent on the time. So for this animation, it needs to be 3 seconds. Now, how long is 3 seconds? If 1 second equals 24 frames of animation, that means, doing some basic math, 3 seconds should be 72 frames. So let's adjust our timeline so that we have 1 to 72 frames. So in our timeline down here, make sure that the outer left-hand number is set to 1 and the number to the right on the outer side is set to 72. Make sure that the inner number on the right side is also set to 72. So yeah, after you do that, let's get on to blocking / mapping out our scene. So the first thing we need to do is think of how we're going to map things out. So we have a start, we have the ball hitting the wall, then we have an end. Okay? So let's start with the ball up here and the first portion hitting the wall. Okay? And how much time will it take from part A to part B? So that is something we have to think about. So if the ball is going to start up here at frame 1 and then end over here, how long do we want it to take? Let's say about 2 seconds. So that's 48 frames. So 48 frames, the ball should start at frame 1 and end at frame 48. Okay? So let's select our ball, go back to frame 1, and then you should be able to translate it using the W key or this move tool. Let's move it right over here off to the side. And actually, let's do one more thing to this layout. Let's turn off the outliner, and then the button above it is the panel layout. Click on that. Let's change this first panel back to our Playblast camera. So orthographic view, Playblast cam. Should still be able to see my grease pencil drawings. Yeah, awesome. And then let's change this view over here to orthographic view front. So now we can move around and see the ball much easier. Okay, so again, zooming in is with the middle mouse. You can scroll up or down to zoom. To pan is command, middle mouse click. And if you want to frame an object, all you need to do is select the ball and then click on the F key. So click on the ball, click on the F key. And on frame 1, you want to make sure that it's touching the ramp. Okay? If you want to be more precise, you can click on this wireframe button up here. So now you can see that the two pieces of geometry are intersecting. Yeah, looks good to me. So once you're happy with it, click on this wireframe button to be in this normal perspective mode again. And let's do Shift W. Shift W will key this frame on frame 1. To make sure that it's keyed, go to the channel box in the top right. You can see pink main control. And my translate X, Y, and Z are all keyed. You can tell by this red color. And then in the timeline, you can check that it's keyed because you should get this red tick mark. Okay, now let's talk about, let's see. We need to go 2 seconds, so that's 48 frames. So going back in either your Playblast camera or this front view, let's grab the ball. Let's go to frame 48. Frame 48. And move the ball over all the way to the wall. And because we set the Y translate to 0 to be our floor, you can do that in the channel box over here. And then you can do those micro adjustments like I just showed you. So you can zoom in, turn on that wireframe that's right up here, and then move the ball a little bit closer until it's intersecting with the wall. Yeah, nice contact position. Okay. Oh, and of course, don't forget to save your frame. So see how it's not saved yet? We're on frame 48. There's no red tick mark. So Shift W, because we want to key the X translate and the Y translate, because the ball moves from here to here. That means it's moving on the X translate horizontally and the Y translate vertically. Okay. So let's see how it looks now. To me, that's too slow. So let me show you how to move a frame that we already set. Make sure the ball is selected. Go back to frame 48 in your timeline. And this is what you want to do. You want to hold down the Shift key, left mouse click, and then let go. Let go of everything. And then middle mouse click and drag. I want to drag it, let's say 40. That might be a little faster. So again, what I did, Shift, left mouse click, I let go of everything. Middle mouse click and drag. That should allow you to move this key. Okay, let's play it. Let's see how it looks. Okay, great, yeah. That looks a little bit faster to me. That looks good. Let's go back to my notes so we can see what's next. Okay, so we tried 1 to 48, and that was too slow. So we did, if it wants to work, I'll show you what we're doing next. It's kind of acting weird. Okay, so we moved it to frame 1 to 40. Okay, but it's doing this weird thing where it's flying. So we want to add a frame right here. So let's do that. So if you scrub on your timeline, let's find the frame where the ball is hovering at the end of the ramp. For me, that's about frame 22. So select your ball, click on the W key, and then move it down. What's easier is to go to the channel box, and because it's back on the ground level, we can make translate Y 0. And we're only affecting the vertical, so the Y translate. So click on Y translate in the channel box, and instead of doing Shift W, I want you to key selected. So right click, key selected. This will only affect the Y translate and not translate X. So let's see how that is now. Okay, yeah, that is much better. And again, this is just the most basic mapping or blocking out of a scene that we're doing in this video. Sweet. Let me go back over here. Okay, so we got frame 22, and that is in between our starting position and hitting the wall at frame 40. So let's move over here, and what's the next step? Well, how much time do we want it to take from moving to point B to point C? So that is something we need to figure out. Let's say about 1 second. So if our ball is at frame 40, 1 second, so 40 plus 24 is 68. My bad, 64. I cannot math today. So 40 plus 24 is 64. So let's move the ball over, and then we only want to save that translate X. So key selected, translate X. Let's see how that looks. Okay. I feel like that is too slow for me still. So select the ball, go to 64, shift, left mouse click, middle mouse click and drag. Let's say 60. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks better to me. Sweet. Okay, so now we have point B, which is 40, and point C, which is 60. So what's the next step? If my notes work, I will show you. So now we've officially mapped everything out. We have point A, which is the starting position. We move it to point B, which is when it hits the wall. We added that in between where it's at the bottom of the ramp, which is nice. And then we added from B to C how many frames it took. So in the next video, we're going to cover how to incorporate ease in and ease out. So that we can, it's taking a long time to load. I'm so sorry, guys. Give it a second. Does it not want to work? There it is. Okay. So we want to add these frames in between, or we can adjust the graph editor so that we can get that ease in, ease out effect in 3D. That's in the splining phase. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. So now your ball or your animation should look something like this. And again, this will be fixed in the next phase. So yeah, make sure you save it. So file, save scene, should be blocking, and I'll see you in the next video.